All right, I thought I'd start introducing my design stage for these projects. You know how some people throw up a shot and it's a bank shot they didn't call? I've been doing that a lot lately. So I'm more curious for myself, how close to my design do I actually end up making something? So here you go. This one actually was probably one of the more accurate ones. Although I'll admit along the way there was a few things I wish were better that I didn't really anticipate, but turned out pretty cool. This is some cherrywood that was donated to me by one of my patients. He gave me like 10 logs, which is fantastic. I like cherrywood. It's beautiful. It's about the right hardness, but not so hard that it's impossible to turn. I learned the hard way that some of these cheaper pine woods are so soft that resin just bleeds right into the wood. It's just so soft. It's not that it cracks, but it just absorbs everything and doesn't hold its shape very well. So I say turn what you've got, and I've got a whole lot of cherrywood right now. If you pay attention as I'm working my way through this, I make a mistake. The idea here was to make an upside down vase, so you put the light in the bottom, and I designed it in reverse. I got about halfway through it and realized, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to hollow this thing, but thankfully I realized it before I got too far, so I was able to rectify that. But boy, some days, if you're not paying attention. The inspiration here was a candle, pretty simple. Simple flame you might see on a birthday candle, or just a simple little candle, nothing too fancy. Kind of an abstract attempt at it, but I wanted the shape of the wood to look like a candle, as well as the internal aspects to reflect fire and flame and that. There comes a point in every one of my projects, especially these ones where I'm cutting out windows and doing different things, that I think, man, this wood's too pretty to mess up, but I didn't want a football or a missile, so just kept plowing forward. I'm trying to design these to flow with the wood and not fight the wood, if you know what I mean. Kind of work with it. And I think this, I don't know, met my expectations about half of what I was going for in that regard. Here's where I realized I had to flip it around, but again, I hadn't made it too far that it mattered. So essentially this is a hollow form project, and I'm here to tell you the length of this thing turned out to be about 18 inches, and it is hard to get in there and sand or do anything. Basically you hollow it out and you're pretty happy if you get that far. So next time around I'll have to make it a little more open so I can really finish the inside nicely. It gave it lots of character, but I also wanted to see kind of wavy fire flames silhouetted in clear resin, and I didn't quite get that. Not like I wanted, but I don't know. There's always some part of these projects, because there's so many stages and so many things out of your control, that there's always some surprise in its appearance in the end, which kind of makes it fun. At first it used to frustrate the heck out of me, but now I just kind of roll with it and go, yeah, great. Tuck tape, great suggestion by somebody. Resin doesn't stick to it very much. If I'm doing a project where I've got my tenon already made, I like to put 5 or 6 layers of that on there, and it's much easier to get the resin off and reuse my tenon so I don't have to recenter the whole project. Packing sand around my project sure saves a lot on super glue and hot glue. It also keeps me from wasting a lot of resin. If you pack it around nicely, the resin only goes where you want it to go. But it does bathe the whole thing, so it fills in cracks and parts that might be unstable and unsafe. The orange stuff is floor padding. You can get it at Home Depot. It's just a floor muffler, a pad that goes underneath hardwood floors. There's a smooth side, a shiny side, and a matte side. If you put the shiny side towards your project, it peels right off the resin quite easily. So I'm using 30 cc syringes with, I don't know, 6-inch long. I believe these were, I have to go check. I want to say they're 12 gauge. They're huge needles. And the whole idea here is that you use this really long setting epoxy. This was Alumilite on this one. And you let it sit and you monitor it and you check it every couple hours until it hits a really thick molasses stage. And if you get it thick enough and you wait long enough, when you squirt resin in there or introduce something in there, it won't dissipate. It won't spread around too much. So you can draw with it. You can make wavy patterns. Now the drawback is if you get it just at the right stage, it is so thick that you'll watch me drag it through there. You take a lot with it. So you're not going to do anything like Picasso, but you do have some control. One mistake I made on here is I didn't wait for it to thicken up quite enough. And so my injectable resin kind of billowed and clouded up a little bit. It wasn't my thin, wafy, flimsy flame-like appearance that I really wanted. So next time. But it was close. I'm pretty happy with it. This Alumilite, it takes a couple of days to set up. It's really long lasting, which is great. So it doesn't ever hit that really strong exothermic reaction and cook your wood. You'll notice I had it in a lift-up freezer. That's because my garage at the time I was doing this was super hot. And I didn't want that extra heat, which can really speed things up. I've learned two things. Heat, the temperature, and the depth is massive. It's a really, really big deal. So controlling both of those is really important. I've taken it in my house. Room temperature is pretty good. I just didn't want to mess in there. And so freezer seems to be fine. I left it in there for a day and then turned the freezer off and just let it come up to temperature, and that worked out pretty good. If you've never heard of Operation Underground Railroad, this is a large organization that's become multinational all around the world. There are people that are staging sting operations to find children that are stuck in child sex trafficking rings. I know that sounds crazy, but it happens more than you would want to know. Anyway, these guys are awesome. They go find these kids, rescue them, put them in recovery situations that will be much better, whether that's adoption or what have you. And all of that costs a ton of money, unfortunately. So we're trying to raise as much as we can. We're about to hit our, I want to say, $25,000 mark, which just blows my mind. So thank you so much for your support. We've sold every piece of wood project I've made except for that big wavy creation, which is still for sale at art4our.org. But I can't get over how generous and supportive people have been. I just had a guy send me a burl melded across the country. It was absolutely amazing. So thank you for that. Anyway, awesome generosity, people giving what they can and doing what they can to help. There's a lot of ways you can support these guys. We have an Amazon store. If you get through to Amazon through that store, anything you buy helps us raise money. Buy a t-shirt, look down in the comment section. There's you can directly donate money. We have about 70 artists at art4our.org that have donated everything from t-shirts to amazing paintings to sculptures, you name it. So there's lots of things you can do. If you want to get involved directly with art for O.U.R, we would love people to help us promote it and find other artists to donate things. The bigger the better, the more the merrier, right? So I used a Forstner bit to get deep in there, which was useful. This is called the simple hollowing system. It's just a mechanical arm that holds a carbide bit. It's pretty simple, but quite powerful. I can't get that deep into a hollow form, a vase or bowl like this, when the neck is so narrow, safely. It would, if I did it with just plain hand tools, at least for the first stages, it would rip it right out of my hands and be super dangerous. So this secures the tool, makes it super safe. I should never say super safe with a lathe, but a lot safer when you can see what you're doing a little bit. And you'll notice I'm doing some really weird things with lighting on this because I was trying to see through the bowl so I could see how far in I'd made it. The walls on this thing got super thin. That really wasn't my goal, but to get the window shape to get it the right appearance, I had to go pretty thin. The geometry on these suckers sometimes is tricky. Trying to gauge where the layer you want to keep is going to end up after you've finished everything and lost different layers. That's tricky. At first I was trying to save some bark on this one, and boy, we didn't even come close to that. So I did have, you'll see some glue right there. I had one crack that formed. I left this overnight and came back to it and it cracked a little bit, so I repaired that and it worked out fine. Well, thank you once again for watching. Every time you subscribe, share, watch my videos, it helps us raise money, which has actually been the biggest vehicle for raising money for what we're doing. So that alone is huge. If you share the videos and get this out there, that helps a ton. Hopefully the quality of my videos improves. We've learned a lot. If you go back to my early ones, you'll laugh because got to start somewhere, right? But anyway, thank you for your support. Please enjoy, and I'll see you on the next project.